the rawness of the characters and how how human they were, and very flawed, very brash and loud and hard to love, but deep down, I mean, concealing a great deal of pain. And I think that was what what was so attractive, what was so appealing, is that it's it's easy to perform in an environment that is pleasant and soft, and it's harder to be loved for actors and for a film within a context in a household that's aggressive, and when there is violence and abuse. But anyone who's been through abuse and violence and who's been back home after a while, and who has a hard time, let's say, dealing with tricky or complicated relatives, I think can understand, even in the slightest proportions, can understand the miscommunication and the misunderstandings that take place in that under that roof. The whole idea was that if you're going to work with Marion Cotillard, and if you're going to work with Léa and Nathalie, and there really isn't any point in asking them to repeat what they've done before, and there isn't a point for any actor on this earth to ever repeat himself or herself. So I think what was exciting for all of us is to think these characters were diametrically opposed to any casting you would imagine them being, any part you would imagine them being cast in. And so it was, the challenge for us was to go somewhere else, for me, for them, and that's what we try to do together, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, I act with them, literally, on set. It's a passion for me to direct actors, and so acting is always at the very center of the approach. So is always the priority, I guess. It's the actor is the vessel through which the story gets to the public. So without that, we're lost. It's basically, the story is, in a nutshell, the story of a playwright who travels home after 12 years of absence to tell his relatives he's going to die. It's not a comedy, but it's a film on the desire that we have to tell each other important things, and the day tours that we take because we are nervous and uncomfortable in our own skin, and just incapable in the end of communicating the essential, and in our need to get lost in useless words, to say useless things, just because we're too proud to say simple things like "I love you."
Why do you think the film was so divisive at Cannes?
How could I know? I wasn't divided by the film, so. But it certainly was a surprise for us. We were, very proud of the film, and so was I. And sometimes what you think is emotion can turn into irritation if it's interpreted from people who haven't necessarily experienced that with their own families, or I don't know. When I first read the play, the characters were very irritating to me, and I didn't really enjoy any of it. I couldn't read that level of tenderness, and couldn't have any compassion couldn't feel any compassion for the characters. Then I read it 5 years later, and it was something else. It was like a sort of new material. So I don't know. Should maybe ask them in 5 years. I mean, that's what movies are for, right? They're vessels for all of the battles we want to pick. So making the LGBT community, raising awareness on its prominence, on its existence, on its needs, and its normalcy is certainly something very dear to me. Although I do think that films shouldn't be labeled as being LGBT movies. If we want to, people want to be inclusive and just, evolve, we have to stop naming things and just living things. So.